Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, table games and more. And today we're going to explore the more part of that as I go back. And my first ever Be in the Know was with Angela Wyman, actress, celebrity, ex dancing dealer. That's my favorite, and just everything. I mean, you're one of the most sought after spokesperson when they have these conventions out there, which they will have again. And you know what? It's just a pleasure. And we're going to check back in with you because you're a real Las Vegan and there's no fake stuff going on here. We're going to hear the story from, I can't say the horse's mouth because let me tell you what, this girl is not live by the horse. No. Anyway, Angela, welcome to Be in the Know.
Hi, thank you so much for having me back, Benny. It's good to see you. And yeah, I love that we're circling back, 1 year after our 12 days to flatten the curve, here we are.
Wow. I think we talked if I'm thinking right, it was like July or June or something last year. And you just think about how much has changed. Yesterday, this is how crazy this all is. We closed poker, we closed the casino on March 13th of 2020. And we were closed for 78 days and we weren't allowed to bring poker back when we reopened. I don't know, I guess, the old wise tale about cab drivers, poker drivers, and crap dealers. Somebody must have taken that and given it to the regulators because they got all carried away with poker. So here's the thing that drove me crazy about poker, right? So 6 people were allowed to dine with no mask within 6 feet of each other with no plexiglass, no nothing in this state. However, 6 guys with a full plexiglass seal with dividers and masks could not play poker for a year. But thank God, the grace of God, poker opened here in the state of Ohio yesterday. So that's crazy. So
that's great.
Lot has happened.
Right. Well, yes, poker rooms, only 21 card rooms still exist in Vegas. Had 34, 35, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact number, before the pandemic, but we're down to 21 that have reopened. And
I follow a poker blogger, Trooper 97 out there, and it's just, you can tell the energy that, the poker had before the pre-pandemic, it was like I said, your rooms were shrinking already, but now it's really taking a beating, and only the strong, like the Bellagios and the places that really, kick it are going to stay at a major level with poker. So I joined your club a couple weeks ago. I actually got the virus, and now we're like blood or whatever. So this one person has spread this to all of us, right? I mean, it's ironic. So let's talk about Las Vegas, right?
Sure.
The big news is I think it's tomorrow. You go to 50% capacity. Now, does that really mean anything? Did it mean, so you think about a place like the MGM Grand, the capacity of that place due to the size of it. I mean, the casino floor in the MGM used to be 145,000 square feet. So when you've got an occupancy of 50,000, what makes the difference if it's 25%, right? I mean, were they enforcing that at all?
No. So, and one thing I want to point out about the whole capacity limits that right from the start through these raise of them, it's such and such percent capacity, 25, 35, 50 that we move to tomorrow, or 250 people, whichever is less. So a convention center that could hold 5,000 people in one of their areas, they're still limited as of the rules now to 250. So it doesn't matter. That capacity limit being raised doesn't matter for the big shows at all. Doesn't matter for the big buildings at all. And as far as like casino floors, they kind of just let anybody in. And maybe they are counting some secret way that I don't know about. I don't want to, hurt anyone's security feelings, but it certainly doesn't appear that they're counting one way or the other. But where they are counting that stuff is the small businesses. Small businesses in Vegas are being punished left and right with fines, with letters. We literally have something called COVID compliance ambassadors that are going around to businesses, and they literally look through the windows to see how many people are in there, to see that people are complying. And they're picking on, and I've used that term intentionally, they are picking on really small businesses, you know.
Well, that's a shame, because the smaller businesses, you think about small bars and that, they're going to have the people who have COVID burnout coming into them.
Yes.
Right? They want to drop their mask. They don't want to deal with that. And, you know, the regulators have to put on a show that they're trying to make the world safe for Las Vegas. So then they do punish these small entities who don't have the legal power to fight, right? You don't.
That's exactly what
you don't come in there and fight the MGM, because they got a corporate office, you know, probably bigger than the United States of America. You know, it's crazy. You know?
Exactly. No, but they go in and they pick on that little mom and pop shop that at 25% capacity can only have 4 people in the whole thing. And those are the places that are trying very hard to comply. They're scrubbing, they're cleaning, they're putting up plexiglass, they're doing all these things, and yet they're the ones that are being punished because they're easy targets. Seriously, not going after the casinos, they're picking on the small businesses so that they can say, we find 100 businesses this week.
And legitimately, if it wasn't for now I'm not a big proponent of all this money we just keep constantly just giving away for the United States, because somewhere down the line it's going to really come to bite us. Yes. However, places like some of the little shops and stuff, and the restaurants you're talking about in Las Vegas, without the PPP loans, without some of the support, they'd be a lot more people out of business than on the streets, wouldn't there not?
Absolutely. And even with all that, though, you wouldn't believe the amount of businesses that have closed. I don't know the figures. I don't have them in front of me, but I have kind of been watching it as this has been going on. And, you know, there's a website where they just keep a running list of everything that is closed, and it's in the hundreds, not 200, not 300. We're like 400 or 500 small businesses that were big enough to be permanent and actual profitable enterprises before all this that are gone and aren't probably going to come back. And that's awful.
Well, they're getting with the, you talk about these companies have the legal resources, you know, same thing with some of these businesses, they have the accountants and stuff to figure out the ways to get the money. And some of these small ones do not. So speaking of things going out of business and problems like it, Las Vegas got, now when I lived there, we had a homeless problem. Don't get me wrong, it was there. But I think when at that point in time, anybody who was homeless wanted to be homeless. They could have got a job, they could have done whatever they want, but that was a choice. Now I think there's the amount of people who are homeless in Las Vegas are not homeless because the choice is they don't want to work.
No, you're definitely right that any big city is going to have a homeless issue. Just depends on what level. Ours has just gone kind of crazy. So, and I'm a huge cheerleader for Vegas. I always want to put a positive spin on everything. But right now we're definitely having a problem with the homeless. And I hate to say it, but the downtown area, the Fremont Street experience, which I love, everyone knows I tell people to go down there. It's one of my favorite spots. I don't even want to go walk around down there by myself right now. When everything was truly locked down, some of the homeless encampments moved farther from the areas of town they were in and basically set up camp in the Fremont Street area. And they're still there. So we're trying to bring the tourists back and say, this is a safe place, this is a great place. And at the same time, we're like, yeah, but you might get like punched to death by a homeless person, which you saw that happened on the Strip, a week and a half ago? And that never happens in Vegas. We're such a safe city. And all of a sudden it's a problem.
Well, Las Vegas, I'll tell you what, for the 26 years I lived there, there was never any kind of incident with a tourist and any kind of problem at either Fremont Street or the Strip. And now it's just, you know, it's degraded, down, it's a problem. But I do see a lot of security on the Fremont Street, all the blogs and stuff. Where you look, there's these yellow, guys that look like mini Metro. So
yes, but they're not allowed to do anything about vagrancy or homeless. The only thing they're allowed to do right now is to go and tell people to put their mask on, and they're there to give you a mask So if you drop your mask, lose a mask. So they're basically biking around to make sure that the masks are enforced, but they're not allowed to do anything about the vagrants. So they're not actual security in that way. They're COVID compliance ambassadors.
Well, let's hope Jim Murin or one of these guys who want to be the world's angels, which immediately he was the COVID czar or something out there. I'm not quite sure what he did, but I think he must have had some impact. Let's hope that he turns his attention, or one of them guys turn their attention to this homeless problem and help these people who want to get off the streets to get off the street. You know, people don't want to get off streets. They're just never going to get off streets anyway. They're going to keep roaming around, right?
Right.
But the people who need to be lifted up and be helped, let's hope they help. So we're talking about Fremont Street, big event at Fremont Street. I mean, the opening of Circa. The first hotel from the ground up in, I think it was 40 or 45 years. I don't know the exact number, but we had talked about doing this interview, this phase 2, this episode 2, or, you know, we're going to be like Star Wars when we get done with her. But anyway, I said, hey, you know, have you been to Circa? You said, no. And I said, well, you might want to go to Circa so you can tell us all about it. So I think, did you tell me you have been to Circa?
I have been to Circa. And it is everything they said and more. And Derek Stevens is a mad genius. He just is. Who would do this during this time and continue to just force ahead? The man is a force of nature. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. It's amazing. It's amazing what he has done by sheer force of stubbornness and will. And I say that as someone who has worked for him. He is just a blazing wall of humanity.
You know, you think about Derek, you think about Bob Stupak, you think about Jay Sarno, you think about Steve Wynn. You got these people who are just visionaries, right? They see things that we can't see.
Yeah.
And you know, Derek has made the hotel that he thinks what the customer of today wants and wasn't getting, right?
No, they weren't.
And this is
brilliant that way.
Amazing, right? It's amazing. So you got a spot downtown where you got this pool area. I don't have to miss my sports. I got my sports betting going on. I got the good looking girls serving the drinks. And then, you know, I got my nightlife with some great restaurants down there. And, you know, what I really liked and what I heard, if you go to the YouTube sites on the restaurants at Circa, you're going to hear stories of people who, you know, built their own business and they're invested. You know, you shouldn't get no more than the American Coney Island folks there. And I think they own the burger joint there. Chris and his sister, you know, they're there. When I worked at the D, they were there all the time. I mean, this ain't fake stuff where, you know, and same thing with Derek. He's the owner. He's on the
he's there all the time.
So every restaurant like it there is the same way. The people have got their skin in the game. I seen the guy from the deli, Saginaw's, and you know, these people are just so invested, and I can't wait to come to Circa.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it
and check it out. You know, a lot of good people there, and I'm just excited. You know, and you know what? God bless Derek. He's got more. If this was Sam Boyd or Bill Boyd or whoever, it'd be the exact same situation would have happened that happened with Echelon when this thing hit. Everything would have stopped. But with Derek, everything was, okay, guess what? We've got all the construction workers now. We can do this even faster.
Well, and that's just it. So then when it came time to open, they could cherry pick for every job. They could get the best dealers, the best cocktail servers, the best hosts, the best front of house, the best janitorial. They really just got to pick and choose. And so they do. You walk in there and it's just the epitome of the Vegas customer service experience as far as that goes. The dealers, as you're walking on the floor, they're all, I mean, yes, they're covered by a mask. You can still tell they're watching you and smiling. They make eye contact. They wave. It's exactly what we try to get people to do when we're training them, and they're just doing it.
I've heard the dancing dealers at Circa are really.
They got their cream of the crop.
They're making some serious magumbo or jumbo or cash or whatever you want to call it.
And they're the only ones in town who are right now. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. So Circa, did you try any of the restaurants or did you just walk through it and check it out?
No, walked through and just talked to people, walked into the shops. There's I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry, but there's a Lego gallery in there that is just fantastic. And we talked to the guy that actually builds the Lego statues. And so
There's
it's just
a Lego statue of Derek, right?
Derek, a full-size Lego, and you can order one of yourself if you want. I mean, it's an ongoing gallery business and it's just neat.
So
And
Derek's the king of marketing. You know, he's
absolutely.
the one. Yeah, I'll never forget when Bitcoin. I didn't know what Bitcoin was.
Oh, Bitcoin, yeah.
And Derek decided to allow Bitcoin to be used in
First
the
one.
restaurant and the front desk.
Yep.
But that's not how it was marketed to the world. A casino is going to accept Bitcoin. And he was on CNNBC,
Right.
CNNBC, Great Britain. He was, I mean, the interviews just went on and on for like 3 days.
It was brilliant.
He got $20 million worth of free marketing for
Right.
the property. You know, then what came along was somebody stole the Blarney Stone. They stole the Blarney Stone out of the second floor. And then he had the Michigan State bet where he was down to the final 2 and he was set to win $1 million. And he went over to, I think it was the Union Plaza and hedged it for $275,000. And he got all that publicity. And then recently, he's got this bar up at the top of the Circa, right?
Yes.
All these busts of like Kurt Kerkorian and Steve.
Yes.
So now somebody feels, legit, they say this is legit, that somebody stole the bust of Kurt Kerkorian, and he got a lot of press out of that. But of course they recovered the bust, and now it's up there. And
It's there again. Yeah.
It's a little secure, but I just can't wait to what's next. What thing will Derek? Oh, I forgot the 1,000 flights to Vegas.
The 1,000 flights to Vegas was brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, chef's kiss.
Jeez. It was.
And that's the whole thing though. All these things he's doing right, our Convention Visitor Authority is doing wrong.
Really? Tell me about that.
Well, so one of Derek's sort of just overall things with Circa is that they encourage you to take photos all over the property. He has not Vegas Vic, but the girl version of Vegas Vic is
Vicky.
Vegas Vicky, sorry, is in there. They encourage you to take pictures. Up by the pool, they want you to take pictures. In fact, their staff will come over and take the camera for you. Now, of course, they can't, certain gaming regulations, but shy of that, they want you. Take a picture everywhere. They purposely put walls that were textured and little bits of pop-up art. Brilliant. That's what he does. Encourage, hashtag. That's the best, most honest way now to get that out there. What does our Convention Visitors Authority do? They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to social media influencers to go to certain properties and hashtag them. Dumb. Like
in a negative way.
In a negative way. That's just it. Derek is getting that organically, positively. They're paying for it. And it's a negative backlash. One, because everybody knows it's paid promotion and a sponsored thing. But two, if nothing else good came out of the pandemic, I do think that the influencer culture has gotten a severe reality check. And so I don't think people are as they don't care what these travel influencers are eating and what bathing suit they're showing off that day. Like, it's not as important to the world as it was. So it's just this huge waste of money. Huge. Like, why not do some kind of contest where you encourage the actual visitors to hashtag like Vegas trip or back to Vegas. And then once a day, say that whoever has the best one as chosen by the Conventioners Authority gets $100 gift certificate somewhere. Like, that would be such a better use of the money. And Derek knows that. And yet all these staff members of our Convention Authority can't figure it out.
So I see a lot of people come into town this weekend. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I was down there earlier today. It is the most people I've seen in a year, times 3.
I mean, I know it's March Madness.
March Madness, spring break.
And spring break. But,
St. Patrick's Day.
And so if I'm a visitor, what would, I've come to Vegas, I don't know how many times, 1 million times, I lived there. What would I say? Whoa, this is totally different. What would I notice walking into, any McCarran? What is it now? Oh, Harry Reid. Harry Reid.
Harry Reid.
I
Okay,
always
first
know
we renamed the airport for no reason whatsoever. Okay, Harry Reid Airport. You would notice that you can't do a fraction of the things you used to be able to do. The shows are still by and large not open yet. The big shows. Small showrooms have been able to open. Some of the comedy shows are open, and bit by bit, by the time this posts, more shows will be open as we increase to that 50% capacity. But we also have rules. Yeah, 50% capacity or 250 people, whichever is less. The entertainer and the audience has to still be like 12 feet from each other. The entertainers have to be 6 feet from each other. So there's still a lot of rules. So a lot less shows to pick from. A lot of restaurants aren't reopened yet. The clubs aren't reopened yet. There's only a select handful that have been able to reopen as lounges, which means they kind of have to have an outdoor space and you have to have a mask on. It's a whole different thing. Our strip clubs aren't open. Again, some of them are open as a lounge, which means you can go get a drink from like a topless hot girl, but there's no lap dancing. There's no,
nothing.
none of that.
No.
None of that. And honestly, again, I'm a Vegas cheerleader. So yes, come here. We're wonderful. But it is not being nearly as well like policed as usually. The police have kind of been told to be hands off with a lot of things during the pandemic. So you're seeing things on the strip you would never have seen. I mean, you're seeing groups of street preachers with megaphones. And again, this is not a freedom of speech kind of thing. This is you're an obstruction on the sidewalk problem. And you're seeing not just like the legit showgirl agencies that pay the girls, you're seeing every version of everything. And there is a difference. You know, the ones that are part of an agency are doing a job. The ones that aren't are just hassling people. There's a big difference between, hey, come take a picture, and screaming profanities as you trail someone. And all these things going on, open drug use on the strip. I've never seen people using needles on the strip before in my life. And you see that now. And that to me is horrifying and needs to be fixed ASAP. Like, fix this.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's always been some element of craziness on that strip, you know.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, you always knew if ever got amplified, it would be crazy. And I think that's what you're seeing now. And then it don't help that you know, when I was watching these vloggers and stuff, you see, like you were talking about, unpermitted demonstration.
Yes.
And they'd even, you know, the things you think about, you know, the BLM or anything. It's not that. It's
no.
It's crazy stuff.
It is.
I don't know I'm trying to think about what I seen the other day. They were protesting, but it was. There
was a vegan protest.
Yes,
and we're great for veganism. We don't want to eat animals. That's cool.
Right.
Like, fantastic. Give out a pamphlet.
Burger out of your mouth, right?
Yeah,
I think they were screaming in front of Fatburger. Exactly.
Yes.
Who does that?
Who does
You
that?
know, God forbid.
You're not helping. You're not helping. And then just the amount of like fist fights and things. I'm with you. Vegas has always had an element of like, come here and be wild.
Yeah.
And some people take that too far. Honestly, you know, we're used to pot being smoked up and down the strip even before it was legal. But it's taking it that next level to like, it's not just a girl half naked in a club. It's like 4 women who were off their heads on methamphetamine, stripping off and jumping into the lagoon in front of the Venetian.
And boy, I tell you, nobody misses it either, right? Everybody's got their camera out. They're ready to show it. They're ready to go. So what about, looks like conventions are back. I've seen a few have already been programmed in. I heard the concrete convention is the first one, right?
Yep, in June. Yep, in June, the World of Concrete is supposed to come back, which is a really big one, as funny as that might sound to other people.
The Native American Gaming, they moved their conference from California, which is, you know, you never know what
right.
the status of California is going to be. They could have barbed wire up around the whole line here for long. But anyway, so they brought their conference to Vegas in July.
Yep.
I know there's a new table games conference. You know that, right?
I do. I'm so proud of Brent, by the way. Brent was such a huge part in making that happen. So,
yeah, and he's, you know, him and Marcus, and you know, I'm so happy to hear that thing is come back. Now, I haven't committed to it. I mean, Richard's dying to, you know, I'm kind of teasing. You know, that's how you do. You know, you tease people like that. but I might have a role in the table games conference. I still got to see what my plans are. We've got so much going on in this Cincinnati Hard Rock that we're looking at our grand opening somewhere around the June or so. So just depends on what's going on there. But I'm glad to see the convention business coming back.
Me too. We need it. So yes, big one.
We do. I mean, because that was, Las Vegas changed over the last 10 years. Conventions and clubs, that's the two C's. Without them,
We're lost.
Gaming got put on the back burner until recently, and then they had to fire it up a little bit to make a little enough money to just keep the lights on. But many of the properties are now 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? I think the majority are, not the minority like it was 6 weeks ago.
Right.
The minority.
The majority. I think the only major ones that aren't right now, the Rio is still only on the weekends. Link is still only on the weekends. But by the time this goes up, Planet Hollywood will have reopened. The Palazzo will be reopened completely. And Encore. Those are the only ones I can think of that are still just either weekends or sporadic. Everybody else, all the other big guys are open all the time. So they have removed a lot of the table game areas. Of course, is where my heart lies. Yeah, I mean, we knew about the poker rooms, but even like Flamingo, they've removed huge swaths and entire pits, and they've replaced them with spaced out slot machines for right now.
So and a lot of table games guys watch this show, and I talked to, I don't know, probably in a month's time, 15 to 20 guys interact with me, and we're all having the same problem. We cannot get table games out. We can't get dealers. The kids aren't interested in now. Maybe it's so a lot has changed the rule, right? So we got Amazon. If I want a job, I can go to Amazon tomorrow and get a job. And Amazon, I'm going to make a fairly decent income. If I want to drive an Uber, I can drive an Uber and immediately get income. So now you tell me I've got to take a table games class. Now in Vegas, you got to pay for it, right? But all these regionals, we give free training, and for a while that was a great thing. We had them storming in the door because you got free training and you got a nice, decent job. But now people do not want to come in for that, spend their 6 or 8 weeks without making any money to become a dealer or anything. And it's tough, and that's why ETGs have taken off so much, because then you can have one dealer planted up on a stage and they're serving 65 customers with one person. So it's a problem. And I think it's, I've got some, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I got some pretty good incentives coming up for new hires in table games. And I think the ploy I'm using is going to work. I hope it's going to work because I need help. But anyway, we've got a very nice property there, and we're expanding into a couple of brand new pits and a brand new Hard Rock Cafe there. So I'm hoping my master plan works. But table games you just not got the amount of people. I mean, it's not because of lack of interest of players. I mean, my God, last night we were just overrun. We were overrun. And you can only jack the prices up so high. I mean, because the customers are coming in are all basically at the same level, so you just can't run them over with price. I mean, and that's what most of these places are doing. A lot of these properties have done very, very well during this pandemic because one thing, you got limited seating, which speeds up the hands. And they finally, a lot of people have learned the math that hands per hour means something. And you're making more money than ever. But when this all settles down and we start opening up seats, and we're going to need more dealers, and hopefully, something changes in this area. It's just not the glamour job it used to be. But the club taking a beating helped a little bit. I gotta say that, because that was the glamour job, right? You go to the club and you do bottle service and you serve one customer and you might make $600, right? So we'll see. It's an interesting world. And,
that is.
Yeah. So what else? Anything we didn't cover that you wanted to cover about Las Vegas?
Yeah, I just want to call Caesars out for doing some really stupid stuff right now. Like that whole thing, we want all these players and we want to make it glamorous and we want to make it good. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's Caesars all across, not just Vegas. They have done away with the policy of grandfathering at the tables.
Hmm.
So, and I'm sure all of your watchers know what that is, but the quick version is if you're already sitting at a table and it's a $10 table and you sit there through however many hours it goes into the nighttime hours, they're going to raise the table limit to 25. Grandfathering would be courtesy that's extended to you that allows you to keep playing at your original bet amount. Now, it's never really been an official policy one way or the other at most casinos. It's a courtesy. But it's one that's very appreciated by the guests and makes a difference to the dealer. It makes a difference to the player experience. Caesars is doing away with it officially, completely.
Well, there's a time and a place, and I mean there is I'm sure some of the properties they're overrun, and to leave the game at 10 and leave somebody playing at 10 when they can get somebody playing at 100 or yeah, but I'm sure there's other properties that are where the volume's light. And they could keep it that way, but it's some of these decisions come from the top, and they steamroll through a corporation. And you know what? My boss tells me we got to do something a certain way. I guess I'm going to do it, but I will tell them. That's one thing about the B-man. I will say, listen, hey, before you do this, this is what's going to happen. But ultimately, if they tell me that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to do. But
I just think it should be left to the pit bosses. I think
you gotta think
it's left to each individual property on I don't think that's a decision that should be made at a corporate level.
Well, some of these bigger operations are foregoing the table games guy like myself,
right?
And they're just going with a corporate-based policy, right? So I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but I went to a property, regional property, and they were running probably about 6-7% 6-5 games, right? Not good. That's pretty good in a regional market. The players are a little bit more astute, and they want a better value than the Las Vegas. So the corporate guys come in, a new owner, and they told the management there they needed to make 60% of the game 6-5. So you had to do it, but you can't cookie cutter table games. Table games is the one thing that you can't cookie. Slots you can cookie cut because people like the same games all over the place. But table games are a whole different animal. People get in Michigan, they play different side bets than they do in Ohio.
Absolutely.
In Oklahoma, they may want to grandfather somebody. National Harbor, they can't. They're overrun. They can't. Grandfather. Everything's different. When you try to cookie cutter or try to make the business all one way of doing things, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely agree. Yep, that's my whole point with it. I think the only thing that could be corporate policy everywhere would be to make your guests come out here and feel like a high roller. And all these little things we're doing are the opposite. And that's why I'm so frustrated with corporate Vegas.
When I was in Vegas, I always said that, the people come to Las Vegas, especially, they come there, they've saved all year, and they just want to be treated like a VIP for that one.
Exactly. And it's not hard. The resort fees are such a thing right now. And another stupid thing, they've all not only put their resort fees back on, they've increased them. The paying for parking, the high resort fees, the pours. I myself am not a drinker, but corporate for the whole Link project, they've reduced their pours to 0.75 ounces, which is half of a normal pour.
Really?
Yep. So if you want an actual just Jack and Coke, and you want it a normal amount of 1.5 ounces kind of thing, it's a double, which means your average drink at the Link now costs you $32 to $34.
Well, that's funny you say that, because somebody was telling me something about a real drink versus and they had a name for it, some kind of micro pour or something. And I wonder what they were talking about, and that must be what you're saying. That it's just like when I was a kid. You used to get a box of cereal. It was gigantic, right? And
Yes.
then all of a sudden, the cereal guy said, well, you know what, we're not gonna raise the price. We're just
gonna
gonna
shrink the
take
amount.
3 ounces or 4 ounces of cereal out of this box and make people believe it's the same amount of cereal. And,
Yep.
and they did it. And I guess that must be what they're trying to do. Well, you know, I keep people from getting drunk, you know, I don't know. That maybe that's it, you know.
Maybe.
Last thing, I see a lot on with the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Man, if people don't take advantage of seeing the Wizard of Oz's YouTube channel, they're really missing out. I mean, here's a guy who could charge for this information, and you know, he throws it out there pretty freely. And
does.
then he has beautiful women like yourself, Angela. So you know, it's the aesthetics good, and the information, the math is good. How can you beat that? I mean, it just don't get any better than that. So here's my last comment on Las Vegas. You know, we're into a cancel culture. Is there some point in time we cancel Las Vegas?
Oh, if it keeps going the way it is, absolutely.
I hope.
But I hope not. I hope we are always the place where you can come here and watch an insult comedian like Vinny Favorito or Andrew Dice Clay. And I hope it's always the place where it's totally okay that adult women who've chosen to can dance in a bikini for money. Like, I hope we are always.
And Andrew Dice Clay can tell vulgar, filthy.
Exactly. Because if you don't like it, go watch the Cirque du Soleil show. But I hope we are always this place.
Yeah, let's hope that, you know, they don't change
I
it
hope
in Las
so.
Vegas. But yeah, I think Las Vegas stands for the Meadows. So I mean, what could be wrong with that? I mean, come on, you know.
It's so sweet and innocuous sounding.
Yeah, right. There's nothing wrong with that. So we're gonna hopefully we'll keep Vegas. I mean, we got rid of McCarran. I don't know what he did something terrible.
I don't know.
You know, God forbid. One thing you know now is you never name your building or something after a person.
Right.
Because sooner or later they're going to dig something up about them, right?
We renamed it after another senator. So it seems like they didn't take your advice on that one. We should have just renamed it the Las Vegas International Airport. And then we don't have to worry about 20 years from now finding out what Harry Reid did. So
there's one way to get around the cancel culture. Steve Wynn just made a huge donation to a hospital up, I think it's in Pennsylvania. And you know what the name of the hospital is?
I don't.
The Steve Wynn.
The Steve Wynn Hospital. Of course. So why did
that can get you over any kind of canceling. Angela, thanks for being on Be in the Know, man. I can't wait to get out there and see you live. And you know what? Maybe there won't be no mask or anything by the time I get out there. We're getting close here in Ohio. Our governor said if we get to 50 cases per 100,000, everything's gone. Take it all down, let her rip, go. And you know, the funny thing is that is down to like only, it's like 800 cases a day. It's still 800 cases a day, but that gets us to 50 and 100,000. And our hospitalizations are nothing. I don't think we haven't had a death in 3 or 4 days here in Ohio. So
that's awesome.
The vaccine's working. It is. And between that and the people that's had it, you know what? Hopefully life gets back to normal. But you know what? It's taught us all that we're just here and somebody else is in control. You know, we're at a moment's notice, our life can change, and we should be ready for it. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I think the message in the long run is a good thing. I was telling somebody today that I've seen so many people quit and go follow their dreams. They're not quitting because they don't like their job or whatever, but now they've seen, you know, it could all be over. So now they went to Colorado. They always wanted to live there. They wanted to do this. They want to go back with their family in Florida. You know what? They're doing it. You know, they might find out 10 months from now they're broke and they have to go back to a real life.
Don't actually go there.
You know, I hope they get to do that. But you know what?
Yeah.
Life will go on, right? So anyway, Angela, thanks for being on Be in the Know. And everybody down here somewhere in this little area here, there's a subscribe button. It's very important. I don't know if you know anything about that. I'm going to explain the logistics of YouTube to you. Yeah, every time you hit that comment button, it boosts everybody who gets to see this video. Every time you subscribe, more people get to see this video. And every time you hit the notifications, you get a notification every time we put a new video on. So make sure you subscribe to Be in the Know. Angela, thanks again for being on. Everybody, so long for now. See you. And if you got to remember, if you want to, you got to subscribe. If you want to, what, Angela? Be in the know, right?
Be in the know.
All right. Take care. See you later.
So great to see you, Benny. Bye, everyone. Thanks.